And you know what today is?
Hey guys, hey!
Hey, Dion, how you doing?
I'm fine, cause it's what Wednesday.
Water Cooler Wednesday.
Yes. So we are always so excited to come here and join you all. We start out with our little music, and right, and it's
How can
always
you not get up and going with that music, you know?
right. It's so enjoyable to be here, right? So I just want
Yes.
to quickly, take it away and say thank you for joining us. But my name is Dion Branch with Allure Dream Homes, brokered by EXP. And
Yes.
joining me today is my co-host,
The
Shanae.
co-host with the most, right? Can I be a co-host with the most? Did that work? I'm not sure. All right,
Um,
anyway. The most co-host. This is Lisa, the house money mama with Nexa Mortgage, where brokers are better, here to serve all your financing needs for residential and commercial real estate.
Yes, yay. So, like we said, we come here every Wednesday at 6 o'clock, and we definitely love being here so we can share all the topics about real estate. So, today we're going to talk about from renter to homeowner and the steps you need to take in order to do that. So,
Yes.
yeah.
But you know what? I think it would be worth us asking the question, and people can put something in the chat if they want to kind of address what their thoughts are behind it as well. But why are so many people still renting when they can be homeowners? Why would a person choose to rent instead of owning? Because I'm sure that would give us some insight, as to the like how we can help people, to be able to get to a point where if it's the right decision, obviously, we don't just push home ownership onto everybody because it may not be the right decision
Right,
for you
right.
for right now, but probably at some point in time
Yeah. But
it will be.
I think some people, it's just kind of historically in their nature, right? Where their parents have rented and never even thought about it. And so then they just feel like that home ownership is so far away from them because well, nobody in my family has done it. So
Yeah,
why should I do it too?
right.
Yeah.
I think some people have misconceptions about how the homeownership process really works or the qualifications and things like that. For example, we should do this as a true or false. But I need 20% down in order for me to be able to buy a home. True or
Yeah.
false?
Right. False. Right.
Exactly. But you would
False
be
all
surprised to
day.
know. You would be surprised to know. I think I read a statistic on this before, and I believe they said about 60% of people think that you need to have 20% down in order to buy a home.
Yeah. And I think that's because a lot of that's what you hear constantly. Like um and it's false, guys. It's false. There's a lot of different ways for you to buy a home, and some require hardly you to bring any money down, and some
Mhm.
require, we have special programs that are out here. But let's not get into that too soon.
Right. Let's stick to the task. Stick to the
Right,
task.
right. But the other part of it is, we have to mind shift, like set mindset,
Yeah.
people shift their minds on how things are going, because what we really want people to understand is building wealth, right? So and we talk a lot of different things every week when we come here, but another important thing is building wealth for yourself instead
Right.
of paying somebody else's mortgage, right?
Right, because so the thing is, just like you use the term building wealth, you're building wealth, whether you know it or not. You
Mm,
are building wealth. But the question is, do you want to build wealth for you
you
or do
or
you
for
want to build
somebody else.
wealth Exactly, for a third party, because that's essentially what you're doing. Trust me, people that are real estate investors and doing well, you are helping them build their wealth.
Right. So stop helping other people and let's get it for you, for yourself instead of for somebody else. So that's really the key right there. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
So can we transition a little bit, because I have a few things that I would like to share today in regards to kind of debunking some of those myths and getting away from the things that people, the misinformation that people continuously get, going to the internet and looking stuff up
hmm
on your own, as opposed to coming to a professional with a high level of integrity and getting information from us instead. So that's what we're here for tonight. So let's start with some of the financial things to consider when it comes to qualifying for a mortgage. So one of those things would be your income. A lot of times people hear, excuse me, my nose is itching today for some reason. I hope that means I'll get money. Is this a money thing?
yeah, that's the money thing.
Oh, okay. Hey, let it itch. Okay. But income verification, debt to income ratio. You probably have heard that term DTI. A lot of people have heard that because that kind of floats around the internet now. Not everybody knows what it means. It basically stands for debt to income. It is a ratio. As a licensed loan originator, it is one of the things I'm required to determine and calculate on your behalf, because of course that's going to be one of the main things that drives the transaction for me. So with the DTI, there's a certain threshold. So it can only be so high in order for you to qualify for certain mortgages. And it's probably more individualistic than what some people might like, because it is directly tied to your credit. So
Yeah,
DTI thresholds can change depending on what your credit score is like, what your and really not even always just the score, because sometimes it can be the contents of what's on the report that has an impact on how I have to view the file and how it's going to need to be underwritten, if there's any kind of special considerations that I'll need to take into account to do an adequate job of making sure that you get from the pre-qual stage to the closing table where you get your keys. So uh,
yeah.
being able to calculate your credit score, well, not calculate it, but to take it into account, your credit score and how that factors into calculating your debt to income ratio. All those things kind of tie in together. But
Hey,
another thing,
Lisa, I got a question for
what's
you.
your question?
Is that a hard pull?
That is a hard pull. It is a hard inquiry. Yes. That was a good question, Dion.
Yes, it is. Because we get it all the time.
People will ask that question. Yes. So there is a difference between a soft pull and a hard pull. One of the main things being is that a soft pull is really just to give us information, but it's not to allow us to extend credit. So a hard inquiry is what a lender does when they are considering you to extend credit. So if you don't do a hard inquiry, then you're really not at the point yet where you're, considering a person to extend credit to them. And so I want to make sure that you are in a position where I can extend credit to you. So I do make that hard inquiry to make sure everything lines up the way that it's supposed to. So we look at the credit report, but then we also look at, because I do CIA, credit, income, and assets. So we are looking at your assets, your savings, so that might mean retirement accounts. That could mean maybe CDs, actual savings accounts. People still have those. Um, Mattress
Mhm.
money is, a conversation we probably have to have offline, because we don't really do that. Like, it doesn't count in your transaction. So you just need to know that, some people just, well, I'll get 10 G's. Don't worry about it. No, bro, I need to know where that's coming from. You can't just show up, with $10,000 and
Right.
I don't know where it came from. That's
A lot, and unfortunately, a lot of people still do the mattress money, but
yeah,
you really, it's not good. There's a lot of financial institutions out here, and especially if you're looking to purchase, really looking to purchase, start to deposit your money so that that it's available and we can actually track it. So
Yes, please, sir. Please, ma'am. Do that, please. Yes. And then looking at all those different things, that allows me to determine how much house you can actually afford to buy based upon the parameters of the loan that you would qualify for. So all of those things play in together, the credit, the income, the assets, they all play in together in order to help me determine how much house you can buy. And keep in mind, when we look at how much house you can buy, we're looking at everything, not just the sales price of the house itself, but we're also looking at the interest that you're going to be paying on the principal. So there's principal, there's interest, there's property taxes, there's homeowners insurance. If you're buying a condo, there'll be HOA fees and assessments, and then there will also be your PMI. So all of those things would be taken into consideration when I give you a pre-qualification. So that's one of the things that you can do to, kind of start to get ready and figure out, how to move yourself from renting to owning. Um, Sometimes people have questions about, like, for example, is there a difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval? Um, Literally, no, there really is not. And I know there's different schools of thought about that out here, but here's the thing. You need to know that your lender is doing what your lender is supposed to do. Somebody can give you a pre-qualification or give you a pre-approval and they haven't done anything. If your lender has not shared with you what your credit score is, that they did an actual hard inquiry, if they haven't told you, and this is for regular residential loans, qualified mortgages, by the way, but if they haven't told you that they have evaluated your loan file with an automated underwriting system analysis, if they haven't done that, they may refer to it as DU or LP or GUS if it's a USDA loan. But if they haven't done any of those things, then you need to be concerned. Because whether they call it a pre-approval or whether they call it a pre-qualification, it is insufficient. And that's the bottom line. So you can call it whatever you want to call it. But the bottom line is that you need to do the things that are required in order to know if a person is qualified. So, for example, when I do a pre-qualification letter, my pre-qualification letter includes a list of all the things that I've done. So I say on there, I did a tri-merge credit pool. I say on there, I ran AUS findings. I say on there, I verified income. I verified assets. I put all of that in writing. So not only but the person who you're submitting the contract, to when you put an offer on the house, that person also knows that I've done my complete list of items for due diligence to ensure that based upon the parameters I have set in that letter, that you are qualified for that.
right. And a lot of times, when we're out looking, and placing an offer, it does help that our pre-approval, pre-qual letter does state all those things, because the purchase person, that's reviewing your offer looks for that, because they want to make sure that the lender has pulled your credit and
Right.
looked at your history. So, yeah.
And I don't blame them, especially now with with the kind of the environment that we're in right now. Is very unfortunate. We work in a field that has the potential to be lucrative. And some people see what we do as being easy. They think it's easy work. Of course, if they came and talked to us, they would know that couldn't be further from the truth.
Mhm.
But people assume it's easy. And so they come in and they halfway do things. I have had this happen where people have told me, I've learned more in 30 minutes talking to you than 3 months working with my previous loan officer, because the person doesn't take the time to really get to know their customer, and they don't take the time to explain things, and they really don't do their job. So a lot of times you end up getting, these half done task, and that's not good for you, because it's never going to be fun for you. You might get it done quickly, but it's never going to be fun for you. You find the house of your dreams, you finally say this is the one, and then you realize that because your loan originator didn't do their part, that you can't buy it, and there's nothing anybody can do about it.
Yeah.
So We don't want that to happen.
All righty. All right.
You have
So
questions?
no, no, not I.
Not I.
Right, not I. But it is definitely good for you to make sure you're working with the lender and making sure that you're working with a qualified lender, right? So,
A to the man.
mhm.
And while we're talking about that, you can jump in because I think you'd be a great person to explain why it's good to work with a qualified realtor because
Yes,
that is equally important.
yes, yes. And so when you're looking for a property and you want to there's a lot of different tools out here now. You could do the realtor.com, Zillow, all these different things. But it's really great important for you to work with the realtor because the realtor has the expertise that you need in order to purchase a home, right? So in the process of purchasing a home, there's a lot of different things that you need to do. You need to you have to negotiate your offer, and
Mhm.
and so that right there is you're looking for somebody that has experience of actually working with other realtors and negotiating the purchase of your price. We also look at comparables in the area
Yep.
because we can't really trust that the other realtor did their job in order to make sure that they're pricing the property, correctly. Because sometimes a homeowner is like, oh, well, you told me 185, but I really want to try to charge 250 and see what happens, right?
Won't they do it?
Yes, they will. So that's why when we're making offers, we definitely run comparables based off of the properties that have sold in the past 3 to 6 months, as well as looking at properties that are on the market. And that way we know, okay, what we've done our due diligence. It's also going to be caught by the appraisal because the appraiser is going to do the same thing, but why make an offer and rely on the appraiser to catch that you're overpaying for a property
True.
when you don't need to? There may be some times where we're in a tough market where you want to pay over the price, but that's a decision that you are making prior to making that offer. So then you're saying to yourself, okay, I really love this property. I really want to be in this community based off of the schools, things like that, where you might want to offer a little bit more.
Yeah,
But
because it may be worth it. To you, it might be worth it to spend more. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, but working with a realtor does, we take you through the whole process. We hold your hand, at least my team does, right? We hold your hand all the way through the process. We make sure that you're working with qualified attorneys because we have people that will refer you to my team, right? So my team includes Lisa. Team includes lenders, home inspectors, and sometimes we may even need a general contractor. So you want to make sure that your realtor is someone that's connected with a lot of people that make sure you get the best value for the new home that you're purchasing, right? That big expense that you're getting ready to get
Right.
into, right? So those are definitely some key things. Um, and you may want to, when you're out looking or thinking of interviewing somebody as a realtor, these are some questions that you want to ask the realtor when you're going through the process and trying to determine if there's somebody that's good to work with. And so ask them what's your process? How do you help me throughout this process in order to make sure that I'm purchasing the right home? You want to make sure that you're not just working with somebody that's looking for a check, right? So you
Yeah.
want to actually be able to relate to that person and make sure that they have your best interest at heart.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. Anything else you think they should ask?
Um,
What
sorry.
about experience? Do you think that a person should ask about how much experience the person has, or what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think that experience is an important part of it as well. Just
Mhm.
understanding if someone has this their first home that they actually purchased, and a lot of this information is available. You can Google a realtor's name
That's right. Yep.
and search and see what their history
Mhm.
is, and making sure that you're actually working with somebody that has good experience. You might want to also find somebody that has experience working in your particular neighborhood, because
Mhm.
you're looking for a specific neighborhood and want to make sure that they are knowledgeable about the things that are happening in that area as well. So there's a lot of different questions you can ask. So when so now you've chosen your realtor and you want to really get started. So you chose your realtor. That's me, right? That's me.
That's right.
Right. So one of the things you want to do is make a wish list of must haves. And
Yeah.
so I always definitely, when we're going through and looking at properties, I always ask my people to, before we start out, like, what are you interested in? A lot of people don't know. And so even when they're working with Lisa in the beginning, I'll set up a search for you and just kind of start looking at the houses that are actually on the market. That way you can see what you like and what you don't like. And
Mm-hmm.
then when we're going out, while we're viewing homes, after we have showings for that day, normally we have a moment at the end where we talk about the things that you liked and the things you did not like about the property.
Good. That's good.
And the reason is, when I'm searching for the next group of homes for you, or you provided me a list of homes that you might be interested in, I'm going to review them, and I'm going to keep in mind the things that you said that you didn't want. Like, I
And
really
maybe remind them too.
right, and remind you. Yes, right. Like, you like, I really I have a client now that says that she's looking for a condo. She says she wants to be on the third floor. So, nice condo comes up, it's on the first floor. Are you sure you want this condo? Right. We've talked
Right.
about you being on the third floor. We
Right.
talked about you really wanting a basement for, your man cave, and you want to be able to have a pool table down there and the big screen TV, and
Right.
you
But
know,
then the basement is not only not finished, but it's not even half the
have
perimeter of the house. Like, how
right,
you gonna do all of
exactly.
that?
Right. So we can't even fit the TV or the pool table down there.
Right.
Right. So but I'll remind you of these things so that you can decide. It's not that you're saying that we're not going to go see that property, but
Right.
you can make a decision. Okay, am I willing to compromise on these things because this house has 4 bedrooms compared to the 3 that I really wanted, and it's a good price, and it's
Right.
in the school district that I want.
Right.
So sometimes compromise does actually, come into
Absolutely.
play.
And it's difficult. Like, it's easy for us to talk about it right now, but realistically, when you in the heat of, home searching and stuff, and you
Hmm.
go into all of these houses that have been staged, they smell good, they look nice,
Yeah,
and
right.
you didn't think about this other stuff before, like, wow, it would be really nice to have this, and then you forget about everything that you said was on
Everything
your
on the
list.
list. Right. The,
Right.
the, the don't wants, because this one
Right.
has a lot of my wants. Right.
Right, right. But at the end of the day, this is a huge purchase, and you can't just say, you know what, I don't like this. Let's go someplace else. It's not going to be that easy. So you want
Yeah.
to stick to the practical parts too, and
Hmm.
make sure those must-haves are there,
Are there for you,
Yeah,
right? And
some
then
realistic ones anyway.
right. And you got to search in a realistic price range. So
Mhm.
that's one big part of why we get pre-approved, pre-qualified first before we actually go out and look at properties.
Yeah.
Because there's no reason why I should show you a 400,000 home when you can only your budget, your max budget price is 450. I
Two
mean 250,
two
sorry.
yeah,
250, and we want to go look at the 450. No,
right.
no.
Right.
Right. We're not going to do that, and there's a lot of reasons why. Because, excuse me, that 450,000 house is going to have a lot of nice things in it that maybe in your price range we're really not available for you just yet, right? So sometimes we have to start out with that starter home and then go into our forever home a little later. So you have to you have to look at realistic price points and price range in order to when you're looking. And a big factor of that nowadays, we last year we went through this huge tax increase, and so it is affecting a lot of the houses out here. So it's not just that we're looking at the price of the home, we also have to look at the taxes, and then if there's any association fees, because you could have your home could be in a community. It doesn't Association fees don't only just go to condos and townhomes, they
Yeah,
can also go to single family homes as well.
certain neighborhoods, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
in some neighborhoods. And so there, that all of that has to be included in the price that Lisa gives us. That what is your your max monthly payment that
Right,
we
right.
can use. And so we tend to have to pull out that mortgage calculator and do a little calculating and to understand, okay, this is how much, this house is out of my price range. Although Lisa gave me a pre-approval for 250, but the taxes, she only approved us for taxes of $4,000.
And these
So
taxes are 8.
right, and these taxes are 8 and 9. So
Yeah,
definitely out of your price range.
right,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I looks like we're nearing the end of our time. I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to wrap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but I do think we could just real quick mention that, after you do find the place, you talked about placing an offer, let's say the
Mhm.
offer gets accepted. So this is a whole different process, and this is the part that probably takes the longest, as far as the different kind of steps, that have to happen, because now underwriting, appraisal, home inspection, all those things are going to take place, and then eventually you get to the point where you actually go to the table, sign your life away, and
Right.
give you the keys to the house.
Yes. 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 So you definitely, after you've gotten your we've made an offer and it's been accepted, we have earnest money, we have appraisal, sorry, home inspection. All of those are some things that actually happen right after, just as Lisa says. And that's around, about a $2,000 cost, like upfront. But we have lots of videos that can talk about that.
They do.
So, um, well, let's see. It says common pitfalls. And just one question we want to talk about is, can I buy if I have a lease? Yeah. Yeah. But what you want to do is you want to plan, our key word, right?
Always.
Our keyword. You don't want to have a lease because you don't want that. You have a mortgage that's coming up soon. But
Right.
what you want to do is make sure that you plan ahead of time. Talk to your
Your landlord.
landlord, right? Let
Mhm.
them know I'm possibly going to be moving out of my property soon. My If my lease is ending, you need to know when your lease is going to end, and you need to make sure that from that point on, you say, okay, 3 months prior to your lease is ending is when you should start to look.
Yep. That's enough time to get you going.
Enough time to get you going. And then if you've been in your property for years and you have a landlord that's just like a not a corporation but a single building owner, maybe a few, and talk to them and let them know, hey, I'd like to be able to end my lease a little earlier. If
Yeah,
you've been a good tenant for 15 years, most likely they're going to let you go. And so it's all about communicating. And so that's really the key is communicate with your lender, with your landlord. Sorry, Lord,
yeah.
your landlord, because
Feeling
then
too, but
yeah, your lender too. But
case.
yeah, communicate with your landlord and just let them know what your plans are, and they will appreciate it as well because that'll give them a chance to start preparing for their next
New tenants. That's
new thing. Hmm.
right.
So
One.
So we are, as always, excited to come here and talk to you and give you tips and about purchasing property. And so don't forget us on Wednesdays at 6 p.m.
And if you need to get in contact with someone in regards to your real estate plans, you can reach Dion Branch with A
I
Little
thought you
Dream
were gonna go
Home.
first. Yeah.
Oh, I'm doing you.
All right. So
At the
you can
number on the screen.
right. You can reach me at the number below. If you have any questions, you can always contact me about purchasing a home or starting to make your plan in order to purchase that home. And then once you want to talk about the money, you can always contact Lisa White at Nexa Mortgage and she'll be there for you. She's the house money mama, always there for you. So all
Thank you
right,
so much,
guys.
everybody.
Thank you. We're
Have a
so
wonderful
excited.
Wednesday.
Right.
See you next time.